movement, and I am arguing why sugary drinks should not be sold in primary and secondary schools. I must emphasize the word sold because I do not believe that they should be banned from schools entirely. Instead, I feel they should not be available for purchase for children and adolescents attending primary and secondary schools. Sugary drinks are currently being sold in primary and secondary schools around the world, and there are many harms that result from this. First, there are innumerable health risks associated with consuming sugary drinks, such as soda and juices. For example, the caffeine content can be damaging to a child's well-being. National health surveys between 1999 and 2010, including 22,000 people from ages 2 through 22, concluded that soda was the most common source of caffeine throughout the study for older children and teens. Dr. Stephen Daniels, chairman of the Academy's Nutrition Committee, said caffeine has no nutritional value, and there is no good data on what might be a safe amount for kids. The American Academy of Pediatrics recommends against caffeine consumption for children and teens because of potentially harmful effects from the mild stimulant, including increases in heart rate and blood pressure, and worsening anxiety in those with anxiety disorders. This is a serious harm because high blood pressure has been directly linked to causing shrinkage of the brain. According to a study from the National Institute on Aging in Bethesda, Maryland, elderly people with chronic high blood pressure lose tissues from parts of the brain involving memory and language skills. Imagine if a child of around 6 begins drinking sugary drinks which contain caffeine, and his or her blood pressure begins to increase then. They will be at a much greater risk for memory loss and language diminishing because they start at such a young age. Knowing that drinking sugary drinks containing caffeine can lead to high blood pressure, which can lead to memory loss and brain shrinkage, it's obvious that selling the drinks in schools is actually defeating the purpose. The information learned through these programs, paid for by the sale of sugary drinks, will inevitably begin to be lost due to the effect on the brain. Further, sugary drinks play a large role in childhood obesity and obesity in general. An article from the Daily Mail explains why eliminating sugary drinks is the first step in combating obesity. A huge decades-long study involving more than 33,000 Americans has yielded the first clear proof that drinking sugary drinks interact with genes that affect weight, amplifying a person's risk of obesity beyond what it would be from heredity means alone. Some people have genes which predispose them to gain weight, and sugary drinks react with these genes and basically make weight gain inevitable for those people. As for people without the genes that affect weight gain, they can still be affected by the calorie and sugar content of these drinks regardless. This article quotes doctors and researchers who state that sugary drinks are the most effective single target for an intervention aimed at reducing obesity. The outcome of obesity is really bad because studies show that obesity may be correlated with lower skill attainment in childhood and poorer labor outcomes in adulthood. In an article titled Childhood Obesity and Human Capital Accumulation, it is explained how people who are obese function at a lower level than people with healthy weights. This affects the entire population because lower functioning people slow down labor production and resultingly affect the economy negatively. Not to mention, obesity also leads to chronic disease that can often resulting in death. For example, overweight people are more prone to heart attacks. If consuming sugary drinks is proven to lead to obesity, and obesity leads to low skill attainment, poor labor outcomes, and most importantly, health issues that lead to death, these drinks should not be available to young children who do not have the maturity level to make the decision not to drink the drinks if they're available to them. This is my final harm I would like to make clear. Children do not have the willpower and maturity to make the decision not to drink sugary drinks if they're available to them. It's not fair to subject them to this by tempting them with it in schools. This research in an article titled When You Shouldn't Do What You Want to Do, Young Children's Understanding of Desires, Rules, and Emotions explains how 4 to 7-year-olds and some 8-year-olds associate the getting of something they want with a feeling of happiness despite the outcome. This proves that children don't know how to make decisions regarding their health because they simply do what makes them happy. That would prove that if children want a sugary drink because they desire it, they'll do so and they won't be concerned with the outcome. 2 years ago, in the Los Angeles Times, it was announced that PepsiCo would stop selling drinks in primary and secondary schools around the world by 2012. This should be an action taken by all